Welcome to Triumph IAS. It's a daily mains practice question and answer series. This program is exclusively designed for UPSC CSE aspirants. In this video discussion, we will discuss UPSC CSE mains previous 25-year questions. Question number 1. Assess the role of British imperial power in complicating the process of transfer of power during 1940s. Let's start with the introduction of the answer. The outbreak of Second World War in September 1939 rapidly raised the status of Jinnah and the Muslim League. Linlithgow saw the growing rift between the two parties as an effective weapon that the British could use for their advantage. The main body of the answer should be number 1. The British wanted India's cooperation in the war without conceding too much in return. They viewed the martial Muslim race as more worthwhile for the war purpose than the party workers and politicians of the Congress. Number 2. So, Linlithgow encouraged the League as a useful counterweight to the Congress. When Linlithgow declared India's entry into the war without consulting the Indian leaders, the Congress ministries in the provinces resigned en masse in protest. Number 3. Linlithgow could now ignore the Congress as it was no more in power. The Congress lost the power to bargain. Number 4. The Viceroy now turned to Jinnah for support and encouraged the League to become a rival to the Congress at all India level. Jinnah thus emboldened passed the Pakistan Resolution at the League's Lahore session in 1940. Number 5. At this session, Jinnah propounded the two-nation theory. Interestingly, Linlithgow did not rush to condemn the Lahore Resolution. Number 6. The British, for their part, played the game of divide and rule as they had done since their arrival in India. Linlithgow saw advantage in encouraging the separatist tendencies of the Muslim League as a counterpoise to the nationalism of the Congress. Number 7. He saw the martial Muslims as more valuable to war efforts than the Gandhian pacifists. The British response to Gandhi's call of Quit India was one of severest repression. Number 8. All the major leaders of the Congress were arrested and put in jail for a period of 3 years. By confining the leaders of the Congress for such a long period, the British government left the field wide open for the League to consolidate its position. Conclusion of the answer is: in 1940, the idea of Pakistan was mere rhetoric, but by 1944, it seemed achievable. The Cripps mission was another opportunity that the Congress blew up by its all-or-nothing attitude. The British, in order to appease the Muslim League, put the opt-out provision for the provinces in the Cripps proposal. Question number 2. For achieving the desired objectives, it is necessary to ensure that the regulatory institutions remain independent and autonomous. Discuss in the light of the experiences in recent past. Let's start with the introduction of the answer. Be it attracting private investment, enhancing consumer protection, or ensuring orderly growth of the sector, the regulatory agencies are created to achieve certain policy objectives consistent with those of the government. The main body of the answer should be number 1. However, once the policy is framed and objectives are determined, a regulator should be independent and autonomous. It should be allowed to take charge without interference either from the government or other stakeholders. Number 2. Further, regulators need to be empowered to become financially self-sufficient and appoint staff with appropriate skills. Number 3. Accountability of the regulators is of utmost importance, and the current provision of submitting an annual report to the legislature is not sufficient to hold regulatory agencies accountable. Notably, many regulating agencies have failed on this count. For example, Telecom Regulatory Authority has been a habitual defaulter in laying off their annual reports and audited accounts. Number 4. In recent past, the electricity regulatory commissions have been considered fairly autonomous and empowered bodies, thanks to the provisions in the Electricity Act, 2003. Number 5. But the Ministry of Power appeared to have been ensuring that the ERCs act in conformity with the tariff policy and the electricity policy to be prescribed by the Ministry, instead of just being guided, as the Act provides. Number 6. This tinkers with the autonomy and independence of the Commission. Number 7. The issue can be addressed effectively by employing multiple approaches to ensure regulatory accountability on a continued basis. This can include empowering civil society organizations to work with the regulators or constituting a committee of eminent persons to select regulators and to consult them on various issues. The electricity regulatory commissions have been considered fairly autonomous and empowered bodies and can set an example for other agencies. Conclusion of the answer is: further, there should be fair and merit-based appointment system, uniformity and security of tenure, timely regulatory impact assessment by the ministries. All these measures could lead to a structural change ensuring independence and autonomy of regulatory agencies in India. Question number 3. What is India's plan to have its own space station and how will it benefit our space program? Let's start with the introduction of the answer. India plans to have its own space station, and modalities for it will be worked out after the first manned mission, Gaganyaan, scheduled for August 2022. The main body of the answer should be number 1. According to Dr. Sivan, the proposed space station is envisaged to weigh 20 tons and serve as a facility where astronauts can stay for 15 to 20 days, and it would be placed in an orbit 400 kilometers above Earth. Number 2. Space technology impacts our lives in myriad ways, from communications, agriculture management, disaster management, land management, and national security. Number 3. A space station is a spacecraft which revolves around the Earth and provides a small habitable space for a few humans to live for a few days to carry out cutting-edge scientific research in an environment that cannot be simulated on Earth. Number 4. The idea is to have our own space station where Indian astronauts can fly regularly to conduct microgravity experiments, the ISRO chief said. Since 2000, astronauts have periodically visited the ISS to carry out close to 300 different microgravity science experiments in diverse fields such as astrobiology, astronomy, materials science, space medicine, and space weather. Conclusion of the answer is: the Indian station would be available for other countries to do collaborative research.